Hey guys, it's Gypsy. If you follow my pages, you'll know I've been pretty MIA for the last 6 weeks. I've been recovering through a pretty extensive, pretty invasive surgery, and that's kind of what brings me here today. I figured since I'm fully able to work, I would kind of jump on here and let you guys know what I went through, and what to kind of expect if you decide to go through the surgery yourself. So because YouTube bans some words and I'm not allowed to say certain things, I'm gonna try my best to fully explain what I actually went through and like what actually happened while also being within the guidelines. But I'm just gonna do one of these real quick so you can kind of get an idea. I am currently in a sports bra. But at the 6-week mark, you're able to be in wires again, but we'll get into that a little bit later. So with the surgery, I ended up getting a lift and I got objects put inside of me. And to kind of take into consideration what I wanted, I figured that doing the lift and doing the objects would kind of better suit me. So there's people who do one or there's people who do the other. But for me personally and how I wanted my body to look, how I wanted everything to like come together, I figured that doing both at the same time would be a lot more cost effective. It's a lot cheaper to do it all at once instead of going back from like multiple procedures and then being laid out for X amount of time and all that other stuff. So I kind of just figured that doing it all in one swoop would be a lot better. For me personally, I will have to drop the numbers, the exact numbers in the comments below or in the description. I kind of planned for over the amount that I was gonna spend. So I think the surgery itself was like closer to 9,000, but I ended up planning for about 10,000 for the surgery itself. But I will have to get you exact numbers later on if you're curious about that. That's just a me personally type of thing. Other people, like, they can do just the lift, they can do just the objects, or they can do both. It's kind of just all up to preference. The recovery span is 6 weeks until you can fully lift things, you can fully work out, you can fully do everything that you were doing before. But at my 6-week appointment that I just had the other day on Tuesday, currently right now it is Thursday, so 2 days ago, I was told that I wasn't able to soak in hot tubs still because of the bacteria that's kind of floating around and everything. So kind of just take that into consideration. This is a pretty lengthy recovery process. I was keeping track of pictures and everything throughout the first week, and then later on, and from day 1 until day 3, it is such a dramatic change. It is like insane. Like it blew my mind when I cleared my head a little bit more and I was able to actually like sit down and look at everything. It was insane. So we'll kind of go into that a little bit more later. So I kind of just want to go over the first week because there's a lot of misconceptions and there's a lot of things that people don't really know about what they're getting themselves into when they go into the surgery. So to kind of mitigate that, I want to let you guys know about my first week, which brings me to this. So on the day of and the first day of surgery, I had all around complete pain. I couldn't lift my arms until about like here or so. It had to be really close to my chest. Everything was just swollen, everything was high, everything was tight, and breathing and especially coughing were the two main things that just, it killed. It killed so bad. So even with the prescriptions that they give you, you're still gonna feel a lot of discomfort, and everything's just gonna hurt. For me personally, I ended up, they prescribed me 5 milligrams of something and 5 milligrams of a sedative, and I was also allowed to take Tylenol, like as I was not on the first thing that I'm not allowed to say right now. So those 3 things are probably going to be your best friend for like the first week. When you go and get the surgery done, you're going to want to have somebody be there and have somebody kind of take care of you. So it's mandatory that you get picked up and dropped off at the hospital, and then it's mandatory that you stay with somebody for the first 24 hours after. Beyond that, like when you kind of like come off the medications, you'll be able to, you know, function a little bit better. Like it's going to be a lot safer. But if you have kids or anything, then it's a better idea to stay with the person or to stay with whoever. That way you're able to have somebody else deal with everything while you're just focusing on yourself and you're just focusing on your recovery, because that's going to honestly be the biggest thing. I remember on the day of surgery when we were leaving, I got wheeled down the stairs. I got put into the car, or the truck rather, and as we were driving, when we were going over these bumps in the roads, like even these small little bumps, like the little, you know, like the, whatever they're called, like the little bars that are on the roads, I literally had to like lift off my seat and I had to like come up. Like it hurt. Like I was hanging on to myself. I was like, this is so brutal. Like it makes you nauseous almost, because of the pain. So just like, you know, if you're going through the surgery and if you're driving back, or if your friend is driving you back, just kind of lift forward, and that helped me a lot personally. On day 2 and 3, they were relatively easy and relatively like the same. I can't really say easy, but they were relatively the same as like day 1. Like there was a lot of pain, there was a lot of discomfort, but you were finally able to shower. You're finally able to shower after the first 48 hours of like after surgery, and this is just to make sure that there's no infections and everything like prior or after the fact. So they expect you to shower the night before, the day of, before you go into your appointment. So my appointment was personally for 10:30 or so. So I woke up, I took a shower, had my friend drive me all the way to the hospital, and then he ended up leaving. And then he picked me up later on after the surgery. The surgery itself only took about an hour, but then it takes you a little bit of time to wake up after the fact. So they kind of plan to have you be in the hospital for around 4 to 5 hours, just because you don't know how long it's going to take for you to wake up, and how long it's going to take for all the paperwork to get cleared and everything. So kind of expect yourself to be there most of the day. Going back to the shower thing, when you do shower after surgery, and even before, you'll want to make sure that you shower with Dial or any type of non-fragranced soaps. This just makes sure that, you know, there's no chemicals, there's no infections that can be like led up to. Like you just want to make sure that you're scrubbed down, perfectly clean, all the germs are away, and this kind of just helps out a little bit. I will tell you that the first shower after surgery is probably the best thing ever. The only problem that I did have was that because my body, where I got the surgery was finally free after being in a binder, it had a lot of pain, and I wasn't able, like I said before, I wasn't able to lift my hands like over here. So like I could maybe get right here like soapy, but for the first couple days I did end up having to have a friend go and shower me, or help me shower. You'll definitely need the assistance. I tried to do it that first day and it didn't work. So definitely just have somebody who's already seen you, or like you're comfortable with them seeing you, and you'll be okay. On day 3, there was a little bit of mishaps. This is a little bit too much TMI, but on day 3, you'll have these severe stomach cramps, and you'll be unable to pass movements. So kind of make sure that you're keeping up on that. What I ended up doing was going to my local pharmacy, and I just got these fiber gummies, and they worked like a charm. It was within like 20 minutes, and everything's doing its thing. But with all the medications that they have you on, and all your body is like and with your body like trying to recover, there's a lot of things going on, you know. So you'll want to make sure that you're kind of taking care of yourself and focusing on like taking care of yourself. So that was day 3. Day 4 was definitely the light at the end of the tunnel. I didn't need to take any of my like medications until the nighttime, because I was having trouble sleeping. So towards the end of the night, I took a couple of medications, and I was able to fall asleep, and everything was perfect. So definitely invest in fiber gummies. Definitely invest in melatonin. It will probably be your lifesaver. If you do the fiber gummies, like I said, make sure you're staying near the toilet, because when they work, they work. Sorry, again, too much TMI, but that's just what I went through. I napped for about 3 hours, and because my initial friend ended up having to have other obligations that they had to do that day, I ended up having another friend come over, and she ended up having to also help me shower. But for the most part, I just laid around the house. I watched movies. I ate a bunch of ice cream. I was just kind of fully taking care of myself and kind of just doing as minimal as possible. On day 4, you're able to lift your arms a little bit more, but you'll want to make sure that like it's still close to your body. So if you're reaching for something in the cabinet, make sure you're like reaching like here, you know, like don't go reaching something off the top shelf, because 1, it could potentially mess up the object, and 2, it could just severely injure yourself and stretch out the skin, and you don't want that, because it's going to take recovering a lot longer in the long run. So I remember on my first day, going back to the first day, putting on a seatbelt was brutal. I put on the seatbelt, and then I had to like put it behind me. But I ended up having to have my driver like put it behind me, like for me. I was literally like, I was a zombie. Day 4, I was actually able to put the seatbelt on myself. So that was a huge success, as like it was just a little win, and it was so like accomplishing. I felt very accomplished. I felt very like enthused that I was able to do this small little task. And you'll see yourself kind of advancing later on. So at 6 p.m. on that day of day 4, I ended up having really bad nausea, and so I ended up taking some more of my medications, and like I said, it was just enough for me to like sleep. So 3 and 4 is when you're gonna really start getting that insomnia. So you'll just want to be prepared. On day 6, I woke up sore, but I think that was mostly from me sleeping the wrong way. Nothing too crazy ended up happening. I took a ton of Tylenol that whole day. I was still off the initial medications except for at night, and it was also, day 6 was also the start of getting muscle spasms, which will be normal as your nerve endings are growing and your body is going through the drop and fluff stage. So this is a normal process, but if they get to being too intense, I'm not a doctor, so just kind of take my advice into like kind of consideration, but don't like, you know, trust your doctor, because your doctor will definitely be the one to help you through all of this. I'm still in contact with my doctor. It's been 6 weeks. I went through the whole thing, and I was texting them at least a couple times a week, and it is okay. This is their job. They are fully aware of it, and they would rather have you think that there's an issue and then have it be nothing, rather than not think that it's an issue and then have it be something. So just kind of make sure you're keeping that open communication with your provider. So when I say drop and fluff, what I did was I had the objects inserted underneath the muscle. There's two ways that you can do it. You can either do it over the muscle or under the muscle. I personally wanted the more natural look, and I also wanted to be able to breastfeed again if I ever have any more kids. So I personally did underneath the muscle, and I liked the way that it looked. For me personally, I like the more natural feel. So what I mean by drop and fluff is that the first couple days, as I said before, it's gonna be high, it's gonna be tight, and it's gonna be swollen. As the swelling goes down and minimizes, it's gonna drop down. So they're gonna be up here, and then they're gonna drop. And then with the fluffing process, the whole thing is gonna just like come out this way and look a little bit more natural. So this is just like a process. You can talk with your doctor about what exactly you want. I went to 385 cc's personally, but there's anything, I think 500 cc's is the highest. I'm not actually positive on that, but you can go smaller, you can go bigger. I personally just wanted 2 cup sizes bigger, and I really wanted the lift because breastfeeding my initial child kind of took a toll on me, and I didn't really like how I looked after that. So I wanted to fix a few things, you know? So just kind of make sure that, like, if you feel the muscle spasms, then you'll just know that it's normal. But if they get to be too intense, then definitely ask your doctor. On day 7, I was dizzy, I was nauseous, and on day 7 was the day that I actually went back for my 1-week appointment. There's this surgical tape that they put around you on the first day, and then they put like a gauze pad over, and then they put medical tape on it. On day 7, they took off the medical tape. You're supposed to let it fall off. But on day 7, they are able to take it off because at that point, like, your incisions are fully stitched together. So there's no worry there. You want to try not touching them yourself for the first week. Just let the doctors do that, and everything will be fine. So I ended up getting those taken off. And for a bit longer, I get the spasms, but it feels a lot better when there's like a cloth firm against your chest, and like against the incisions. So just kind of keep that in mind. For the first couple days, you'll be in a binder. Then after that, like after the 1 week, you'll be able to switch into a sports bra, and you can either keep the sports bra or you can keep the binder on. I personally didn't like how itchy the binder ended up being on my stomach from just like wearing it all day. So they gave me 2, but even with like the switching and everything, it wasn't as comfortable. So I ended up just wearing a sports bra, and I walked around the house without a shirt on, and everything was fine. But it feels better with something pressed up against you. Which kind of leads me into the next thing. With the sports bra, you'll want to make sure that you're wearing this around the clock for 24 hours, or up to 23 hours, they said, because, you know, you're still allowed to shower. So you're allowed to take it off for like an hour a day, but for the most part, you'll want to be spending most of the day in a sports bra for the first 6 months. Or any type of bra for the first 6 months. This just kind of makes it so everything's like pressed up against you. Nothing's gonna go anywhere, nothing's gonna shift, nothing's gonna go into like your armpit area or like up here too much. Like, a sports bra has good enough coverage and good enough hold to it that you'll be fine with just having that. So that's kind of it for now. That was the whole rundown of the first week. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I needed to mention. We mentioned the prescriptions that they put you on. We mentioned getting melatonin, the fiber gummies, and being in contact with your doctor. Those 3 things right there are probably gonna be lifesavers for you. Also, definitely having somebody there. If you have a husband or a wife or whoever that can like stay with you and live with you like constantly, then it'll just make your recovery process a lot easier if you're not focusing on a million things. What you'll definitely want to do is focus on you and focus on your recovery. Because like I said, honestly, it wasn't until day 4 that I had any type of relief. But even the relief wasn't like full relief. I will say that after day 7, things get a lot better. You start feeling like you can do more, but you have to be a little more conscious because you think that you can do more, but you really shouldn't. I just went to my 6-week appointment on Tuesday, and it was probably at the 4-week mark that on my right side, I noticed one little mark going into the shower, and I was like, huh, like, what is this? So like I like flicked it off, but I realized that it was like this like scabby type of like pus almost, and it was terrifying for me. Like I was like, what is this? Oh my gosh. So like I ended up going into the shower, and then I got out of the shower, everything was cleaned off. I used Dial, and I took a picture and I sent it to my provider and was like, hey, is this okay? And so they ended up sending over this ointment stuff, and so I was able to put it on there. A couple days before my recent appointment, the 6-week appointment, I ended up noticing that on this side now, on my left side, I ended up having 2 more spots. And these are also normal, he said. It's not an infection, although it could have been. It was just where the stitches are, they didn't get fully morphed together. And so what's going to end up having to happen is I'm going to have to keep using this ointment for the next 3 weeks, and then I'll have a follow-up appointment, and as long as everything looks okay, then I'm fine. But if things start looking a little funky, if things aren't like recovering the way that it needs to be, I'll end up having to look into getting like a laser scar removal type of thing. So I will definitely have to update you guys on that. Just stay tuned to my TikTok or my Twitter or my fans page or anything, and you'll kind of be able to see that. I'll come on here and let you guys know in a couple weeks what ends up happening. But I'm not really sure, honestly. Like this is my first time doing anything of the sort like this, so I'm kind of just going in blind, which is why I'm hoping that this video kind of helps you guys figure out what to expect, and getting the full rundown of the first week will hopefully help you. Everybody's bodies are different. Everybody's situation is different. You might do one part of the procedure and not the other. You might do, vice versa, or you might do both. And, pain tolerances are different. Everything is different. So just kind of take my word as a grain of salt, but also keep it in the back of your mind if you're really curious about what it is like to go through this surgery. Another thing that I wanted to add real quick that I almost just forgot to mention is that when I went to my 1-week appointment, so 7 days post-op, I was feeling dizzy, I was feeling nauseous, and my appointment was really early in the morning. And so I think that was kind of my downfall, was that I didn't get enough water. I was more focused on getting there on time than I was about taking proper care of myself. And so where I am, it's about an hour drive, and I was drinking coffee. I had a little bit of water, but I was on a mission, and so when they were taking the tape off, the surgical tape that I was telling you guys about, when they took it off, I couldn't really feel anything because the numbness inside of your chest, and everything of the sort like that, it's normal to feel the numbness, and it's normal to not have any sensation. That's kind of where, the nerve ending regrowth comes into play. For me personally, when they went and took off the tape, I couldn't feel anything, but I think it was just the overwhelming sensations. Even though I personally couldn't feel it, I knew that it was happening. I knew that it was there. I knew what they were doing. Because, obviously they're doing everything right in front of you, they're doing this on your body. I think that with the lack of water and the lack of hydration that I had, it caused me to almost pass out right in front of them, right in the room. So I was sitting on a chair. They were feeling everything. They were feeling my chest. They were making sure everything was in the right place. They started taking the tape off very gently. I really, I could not feel it. But all of a sudden my face went white, my body went white, like I was just fully flushed, and I was like, I need to lay down. Like I need a minute. So they had taken one off, and I was like, I just need a minute. Just give me a minute. So the nurse ended up calling in 2 other nurses. They helped me get onto the bed, and I laid down. They gave me some water. They gave me a couple of these small little water bottles with their name on it. And I was just pounding that down, and the nurse gave me a couple minutes to kind of like regroup, and then we took off the other side. So I will say that, you know, you can't feel a lot of things for the first week, and even thereafter, you know, there's times where like I'll be walking around without a shirt on, and I won't be able to feel anybody like touching it. Like I won't even be able to feel like myself touching it. But it's like right around like the front of your chest, where everything is, where the incision sites are. Like you won't be able to feel those sensations. But I think it was just like the overwhelmingness of everything going on and not being hydrated. I think that was kind of what was like, oh snap, like something's wrong. Like my body was just in too much shock. So that was a really big and scary thing that had also happened on day 7. But just take my advice and drink a ton of water, and kind of make sure that you're keeping track of yourself, and make sure that you're being like communicative to them. It will help you in the long run if you really focus on letting them know what's going on with you. I think that's all for now. So I will see you in my next video. Bye.